Hello everyone, this is JDA Sports, and I'm going to be going over my 2023 fantasy football sleeper. And no, I'm not just going to spit out a name and you can just make you try to believe me. I'm going to give you all the stats, and you can decide for yourself. But I think he will be a good option this year, especially you can get him as your running back 3 or 4, and I'm not saying you're running back heavy. You can get him as your running back 3 and have wide receivers and a quarterback. Okay, so let's hop into this. Yeah, I'm a 2023 fantasy football season. Let's go. So I'm gonna see if y'all can guess it down in the comments. I'm gonna read these off to you, then pause the video and guess. So this player got traded this off season. Wears a jersey number less than 10. He was drafted in 2020. He is a running back. So yeah, pause this video and see if you can guess who it is, and then let's see who it is. This player is D'Andre Swift. Yeah. D'Andre Swift is my guy, and we're about to find out why I love D'Andre Swift this year so much. So we're going to talk about his last year's fantasy stats. Before I get into this, I'm pretty sure it says it somewhere in here. If it doesn't, he misses 3 games. So his numbers are a little lower. Let's look at his PPR first. He started off hot with 26.5, 16.7. I love those numbers. Then he went down to 7.6. I think he might have injured in that game. I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on it. But he does miss 3 games after, so I'm pretty sure he does. Mid that game. So then he gets 14.3, 8, 12, 10, 21, 6.9, 12, 3.5, 27.7, 15.6. Already right there, even if he just kept those numbers, I would want him in my league. I would want him, if I could get him in the rounds he's going in now, which I'll reveal later, I would still want him, but I think he's going to do better. And let's talk about why. So first, let's talk about last year. I'm not going to get too far ahead of myself here, but D'Andre Swift averaged 5.5 yards a carry last season. D'Andre Swift was only given around 3 red zone opportunities, besides a few games, which are the outliers that every running back sees. Then D'Andre Swift's opportunities percentage wasn't as high as other running backs, such as the one I'll speak of in a moment. And let's look at some of these: 2, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 2, 2, 2, 2, 4, 5, 6, 2, 4, 3, 0, 0. And as y'all know, that's where a lot of the touchdown comes in for these running backs. So let's see, D'Andre Swift only had 99 carries all season, which is low, even though he missed 3 games. That is still super low. And you'll see this other running back I'm going to speak of here in a second, and you'll be like, wow, it's a pretty crazy difference. And then D'Andre Swift averaged 8.4 yard a target, or a pass. I just wanted to clear that up there. So yeah, let's look at well, I'm just going to tell you who the next running back is. I'm going to be talking about Miles Sanders, because that was the running back one in Philadelphia last year, and that is the role that I see that D'Andre Swift is going to be taking over. Yes, they got Rashad Penny, but he's an injury-prone guy, and I think D'Andre Swift is going to be the running back 1, even going into the season. But last year, they already have a bunch of running backs. I just think the only thing Rashad Penny will do is take off some of the work for Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott. So I don't think the Miles Sanders role, which is not the D'Andre Swift role, will be much different. So let's look into this. So Miles Sanders 2022 stats. The main thing to look at from these stats are things such as opportunities and snaps, since D'Andre Swift is taking over Miles Sanders' role, like I previously said. So opportunities, red zone opportunities, what I want to speak of: 3, 0, 1, 7, 5, 2, 1, 6, 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 3. A lot of 3s and 6 up in there. And he had 44 total, which is a lot. Or it's a pretty good amount considering he missed 2 games. I believe it's 14 more than, or it's at least 10 more, I believe. And then I think it's either 6 to 12 more than Swiftmore, but you can go back in the video and check and let me know down in the comments. But yeah, and then just look at the attempts. Or the rushing attempts. You have 259 compared to 99. That's over double, and that's absurd right there. And then if you look at their production, he wasn't nearly as productive as D'Andre Swift with 4.9 yards per carry. Miles Sanders' average yards per carry is 4.9 yards, whenever D'Andre Swift was 5.5 yards. And Miles Sanders' average yards per target or pass was only 3.9 yards, and D'Andre Swift was 8.4, so a big difference there. And Miles Sanders had very good opportunities percentage besides a few games, which most running backs have a few games with less targets than normal. And I mean like the target opportunity share. If you look here, 22%, 20%, 12%, 24%. There's some games like a 9% share, and that's the outlier I'm talking about. I mean, I guess some people say the 12% share and the 13, but most of those are like 15 and up, which is way better than what DeAndre Swift had. And then those 2 zeros were the weeks Miles Sanders were injured, because he was injured 2 games last year. And that's one thing I like about these comparisons. Some people are saying, oh, DeAndre Swift was injured. He's only injured 1 more game than Miles Sanders. So let's look here. So we're talking about fantasy score projections now. If you do the math, what points Swift would get in the role of Sanders, including numbers of carries, his point total would be 268.8 PPR points. This would put him at number 7 in running backs in scoring last year, which is super high considering he's going as I think is running. It's like running back 23. It's coming up later, but we'll talk about that more later. So let's deep dive into like these projections and how I got them. So we're going to assume Swift will miss 2 games and are going to plug Swift's efficiency into Eagles' starting running back last year, targets and carries. So we're going to do the 259 carries times 5.5 yards per carry. That's 1,424.5 yards total. That's a lot of yards for a running back. That's 142.45 points. And we're going to do the total touchdowns that Swift had last year. So that was 8. Well, actually, no. So that is what I did. I did 8, and then the expected increase in target share, which is like 1.735 or about that. And the actual number is 14 total touchdowns. But I knew if I put 14 total touchdowns, people would be like, oh no, there's no way he's doing that. He's definitely not doing that. So I was like, okay, just for this, and this is like going off the mat like this. If I were to add one, I would add one of these. If I were to add 1 or 2 of the touchdowns back, that would be like 6 to 12 more points. But we're just gonna say 12, so a little less than. Say he's not as efficient as switching into this offense. He's a little less efficient touchdown wise. So we're just gonna go 12 because that's a possibility. A little less. So we put 12 total touchdowns, and that is worth 72 points. And then 30 receptions is what I'm expecting. It's 4 more than Sanders last year, since Swift is more of a receiving back. So that's 30 points. I know the Eagles had like 60-plus receptions. That's not targets. So I think that Swift can get at least 30 of those. And I think they might pass to the running back a little bit more with DeAndre Swift. And then we're going to see how many receiving yards he has. 30 receptions times 8.4 average yards. That's 243 receiving yards, or 24.3 fantasy points. So this totals to be 268.8 PPR fantasy points, which is going to have to be the running back 7. And average draft position. In previous mock drafts I have done, he's been going in rounds 5 through 7, which is really late. He's going as running back 23. And we're actually going to say what I predict he's going to go as, or he can finish being, and what his ceiling could be. So if you're going to be running back 23 and he's turning out like this, this would have meant Swift would have been running back 7 in 2022, and that's missing 2 games, so he only played 15 games. And if he averaged these numbers, and if he averaged these numbers it's backwards. If he were healthy all season, he would have been running back 4. So if you're getting him running back 23, and he can be running back anywhere from 7 to 4. I mean, I think running back 12 or 13 is the floor. I mean, the realistic floor. I mean, I know there's a floor of running back 54 if he gets hurt, but I think the realistic, I don't think he's going to get hurt. He might miss a game here and there, but those stats I did. All those stats, the touchdowns, 12 touchdowns, everything, went 1,400 yards. That's missing 2 games. I did all that missing 2 games. I plugged in Miles Sanders. I didn't make it like a whole season. I just did it off of what Miles Sanders got missing his 2 games. So that means he would have averaged 17.92 PPR points a game. So that's points per reception. So that's 17.92. And I think he actually is a little bit higher. Would have been a little higher in the rankings if it wasn't PPR, because he only had 30 receptions. That's not too many points. A lot of running backs had a lot more, but that kind of sums up the DeAndre Swift argument I have. I think you should definitely draft him, especially, let's see, that's four. I think he's the possibility of going 19 or finishing 19 spots over his running back projection. So he's projected to be running back 23, but he could be running back 4, and he could be a little higher. Like last year, I thought Josh Jacobs was going to be running back 7 to, I think it was actually about the same, 7 to 5-ish, but he ended up being running back 1. I'm trying not to, I think Swift has a possibility of being a top 3 running back, but I'm not going to bet all my money on it just because, I'm not going to bet all my money because it is risky with his injuries for sure, but I think the floor is really running back 12 and maybe running back 14, and you're getting running back 23. I definitely like him. I wouldn't be surprised if he averaged 17.92 points a season, PPR points a game. Just the position he ends up depending on how many games he misses. And I think the lowest he might end up with is 13 points a game. But I'm really liking DeAndre Swift. I think you should be too. I think you should be drafting him in every one of your leagues. Subscribe and comment who you want me to do one of these deep dives on next. It doesn't mean it has to be a sleeper of mine, but I think for an example, I'm going to be doing a Bijan release later on this offseason. So, that way he's going really high, running back 2 or 3. That way everyone can see what's kind of realistic and maybe what we can expect. Yes, he can do worse. Yes, he can do better, but maybe somewhat realistic expectations due to history and averages per carry and all that stuff. So anyway, leave a comment down below. Tell me if you like this video. And JDA Sports out.